next battle that Jochi encounters is actually a war with the Khwarezm Empire. That's where Jochi is showing himself as one of the greatest generals of the time. As I mentioned to you, this is Sirdarya River. Actually, at that time, it was called Seyhun. And the strategy of Khwarezm Shah was to defend along the river. Most of his forces were in the region of Samarkand and Bukhara. So when the Genghis Khan armies come and start crossing the river, fighting with the fortresses on the western bank, Khwarezm Shah's army will come in support of them, of their own forces, and defeats Mongols. Well, that's his strategy. But Genghis Khan undertakes little different effort. First, he sends Jochi with 3 Tumens to Fergana Valley. So Jochi invades with 3 Tumens to Fergana Valley, starts occupying the fortresses over there, and then Khwarezm Shah sends half of his army, 200,000 men, commanded by Jalaluddin Sultan, to Fergana Valley, assuming that Mongols are going to come through the Fergana Valley. But Jochi, when the Khwarezm Shah forces comes in, Jochi returns back. But he leaves small battalions who would be traveling all the time, disappearing. So Khwarezm Shah had to keep half of his forces somewhere in Fergana Valley. So, most scholars believe that Mongol invasion force was around 100,000 strong, whereas Khwarezm Shah had 400,000 to 500,000 strong army. Jochi successfully divides Khwarezmian army and keeps half of the Khwarezmian army in Fergana Valley, while Genghis Khan, along with Subete and with his son Ogute and Sagade, they moved from Lake Balkhash into city of Atrar. And here also happens very strange thing. Chagata and Ogute, after Atrar, starts fighting all the fortresses on the right bank of Sirdarya River, whereas Jochi enters again through the Fergana Valley. The Khwarezmian forces here is now divided between 2 fronts, and Jochi moves toward his brothers as if he's going to help them. Whereas Jebe goes through the Tian Shan mountain and comes out, across Amudarya River, and comes out to the Samarkand from very unexpected direction. Genghis Khan and Subade, they move along the Sirdarya River to the northwest, which was not understood by Khwarezm Shah, because even if they cross Sirdarya River near Sea of Aral, there is a Kizilkum desert on the way. So large army cannot cross Kizilkum desert. That was understanding of Khwarezm Shah. And then to his surprise, first of all, in 2 weeks' time, Genghis Khan and Subade crosses Kizilkum desert and comes at Bukhara. First at Bukhara. And, Bukhara does not have almost an army, because the army went to Samarkand, and Bukhara surrenders after 3 days of siege. And then what is surprising is that Jochi suddenly moves westwards to Samarkand, where from the south, Jebe comes with his 2 men, Chagata and Ogute comes from the north, Genghis Khan and Subade comes from the west, and Jochi comes from the east. And what is fascinating here, the coordination of these separate corpses. How do they coordinate? How did they calculate Jebe's
these distances and the timing?
Timing, yes.
No internet, nothing.
Nothing. And when you see the Khwarezm operation, the first phase of Khwarezm War, it is fascinating that Mongols at that time have been able to plan operation to that depth. When we talk about Lake Balkhash to Aral Sea, it's about 1,500 kilometers. Modern armies learned to plan this deep operation maybe only after World War II. Whereas Mongols not only planned the operation, they have been able to manage the whole operation and come at the gates of Samarkand simultaneously.
But how did communication work then?
Well, communication was on the horseback. And here, Jochi made his own victory because he was able to command one of the most important directions of the invasion force and come to Samarkand to ensure the victory over the Khwarezm. Then somehow Jochi disappears after conquest of Kurganj, one of the Khwarezm cities. And a lot of authors, even medieval sources, indicate that Jochi did have a quarrel with the brothers, father, and left the operation theater. I don't think so. First of all...
So that's in 1220?
Yes, 1221. From here, Tulu, he commands one army and goes into Khorasan. Jebe and Subedei goes on this long raid after the Khwarezm Shah, who left to the western part of his own country. And Jochi, Chagade, Ugude goes to Gurganj, the city of Urgench. And at the conquest of Gurganj, there was obviously a quarrel between Chagade and Jochi. And brothers requested Genghis Khan to nominate the leader of the siege. And Genghis Khan nominated Ugude as the leader of siege. That gives to a lot of historians a ground to believe that Jochi was offended by this, and after Gurganj, he left the theater of operation. First of all, a lot of historians tend to explain Jochi's demand first for subjugation and conquest of the city only after refusal as a kind of his humane attitude, etc. But if you see the historical facts, it's not humane. In my opinion, it's not humane attitude. Jochi believes that this area would belong to him and his Zulus later on.
I see.
So he doesn't want a destruction, total destruction of this
city's
place.
Population.
Yeah. Whereas for Chagade, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So Chagade was,
He wants to annihilate.
Yeah, he wanted to annihilate the cities. He did not demand the submission, etc. So in Gurganj, one of the Russian historians, Pochikayev, he suggested at Gurganj, again, Jochi first sent his emissaries demanding the submission, and while Gurganj residents were deciding what to do, at that time, it seems that Chagade started attacking the city, which led to a difference between the two brothers, etc. But after the Samarkand operation, Jochi, with his 2 men, goes to the Deshti Kipchak. Obviously, his task was to subjugate the nomadic tribes of Deshti Kipchak. But he falls out of the attention of the chroniclers of that time because there were so many other things were going on. Jebe and Subedei going into the west of Khwarezm into the Iranian cities, and then they go through Caucasia, beat the Russians at the Battle of Kalkai and goes back, whereas Tulu and his force occupies Khorasan, or remnants of Khwarezm Empire. So chroniclers are busy documenting the fall of different cities at that time, whereas Jochi is chasing after the nomads. In Deshti Kipchak, there is not so many cities. If you see a map of that time, probably biggest city was Signak, and then Ordubazar. No more cities. I believe that he was tasked by this because some historians say that in 1222, Genghis Khan organized a Kurultai near Samarkand, and Jochi did not appear there. And a lot of chroniclers say that, well, this is the proof that he had a quarrel with brothers and father, but I don't think so, because if he really did not turn, then Genghis Khan would have reprimanded him. But he did not do, because he is aware that he is busy chasing after nomads in Deshti Kipchak. That was a very important part of the military operation, because Kipchaks were main battle force of Khwarezm Empire. And it was constant threat. They were nomads as Mongols, and obviously same military tactics that was used by Mongols was applicable to them. Only thing is that Kipchaks were divided, so they were not able to plan military operations into such depth as Mongols. That's why they were losing battle after battle, battle after battle. So, and if you see, for example, book of Abu Ghazi, who is Jochi himself. And in his book, Abu Ghazi reports first that after Kurultai in Samarkand, Jochi comes with 40,000 horses to his father. That shows that he was busy. He probably subjugated some of the tribes in Deshti Kipchak, and then captured quite a lot of horses, and he made a present to his father. And also one of the Armenian princes, he reported that after the victory over Khwarezm Shah Muhammad, his son Jalaluddin offered a resistance to invading forces, and Genghis Khan was chasing him right up to River Indus. And after the battle at the river of Indus, Genghis Khan left Chagatai with his force to chase after Jalaluddin. And Chagatai spent 3 months wandering in the North Indian plain, looking for Jalaluddin. He was not successful. When he came back, his forces were depleted, etc. In Jochi, he supplied horses and men to Chagatai to help him. So if he was at odds with him, he probably would not do that. And then the question, again, mystery about his death. Most of the historians believe that he died in February 1227.
The same year as his father.
Yes, his father died in August, he died in February. But if you read carefully the sources, for example, Rashid ad-Din, in his Compendium of Chronicles, say that he died in the year of 622 of Hijrah, which falls 1225. And also he says that in 1227, when Genghis Khan went on war to the Tangut kingdom, because Jochi was dead, he ordered a separate corpse to Chagatai. So by 1227, it seems that he was dead. There were quite different theories. For example, Genghis Khan wanted Jochi to come to discuss some issues, and Jochi sent an emissary that he has fallen sick and could not travel over a long distance. And one of the Mongol generals who was traveling in that area, he reported to Genghis Khan that Jochi was organizing a hunting expedition.
He was well.
Well, it seems that he was passing by this area, and there was really a hunt going on, but it was not by Jochi, but his generals. But the Mongol general has reported to Genghis Khan that, well, he's doing hunting, he's not that sick. And the sources say that Genghis Khan got angry with that, and he wanted to send an emissary to Jochi to reprimand him. And before the dispatch of the emissary, the news came that Jochi was dead. And Genghis Khan was looking for this Mongol general for obvious lie, and he disappeared. So it means that probably Jochi died sometime 1225 for some disease.
So he died young.
He died young.
When he was still below 50.
Something.
Yeah, 40 something, yeah.
40 something, yes. And, well, he died young, and at the time of his death, Golden Horde was not Golden Horde yet.
I was really tempted to ask about that.
Yeah.
What was happening in Golden Horde?
It was
it
still called
yet?
Ulus Jochi, but it was situated somewhere here. That's Deshte Kipchak. And that part was conquered later on through his son. And if you see here, it says Blue Horde, White Horde. Khanet of Shiban was called Grey Horde. And there is one Central Asian scholar who wrote a story about this. When Jochi died, his sons came to Genghis Khan asking a decision about the succession. By the way, Jochi had many sons. We don't know how many daughters he had, but we do have a documented information about 13.
13 sons.
13 sons.
Of how many wives?
Toktumur is actually the 13th son.
Okay, he's the youngest.
He's youngest. Or maybe there were even more.
Of how many
children.
known wives? 5, 6?
Well, known wives are 6. But I believe that there were many more concubines. For example, later on during the Golden Horde, there was a very famous general called Nohai. And Nohai was actually descendant of Buwal, who is son of Jochi, but from the concubine. That's why Nohai could not stand for the throne, because he is, well, I wouldn't say bastard, but he is descendant of the concubines.
So they would not be considered like Chingizids or Zuchids?
No, they will be considered as Jochids, but
not of the
not
pure
legitimate
I see.
successor or something like this. So the legend says that Genghis Khan prepared 3 gears, as the legend says, and white gear with the golden threshold was offered to Batu, second son, actually. The first son is Ordejan, the eldest one.
Ordejan is his name? Or I thought that this was a title, Itzin, Orting Itzin.
No, his name is...
His name is Ordejan.
Yeah, Ordejan. Name suggests that maybe Jochi himself was thinking of him as his successor. Maybe. That's why the name sounds like this. And then there was a second gear, blue gear, with silver threshold, which was offered to Ordejan. And there was gray gear with iron threshold, which was offered to Shiban. So
Shaban was which son? Third?
Shiban was fifth.
Fifth son.
Fifth or sixth. It's interesting because,
Why Batu?
well, it says that there was one or two Muslim wives of Jochi, and the one queen was daughter of Muhammad Shah.
So Muhammad Shah was like father-in-law of Zuch?
Okay.
Just to interpret this way.
Han Sultan,
Okay,
and a lot of people believe that Han Birke of Golden Horde is a son of Han Sultan, which is not, there is no proof of that. Probably Han Sultan's son was Muhammad. It's 11th son of Jochi. But Birke was definitely of Muslim mother. Birke and Birkchar, two brothers who came right-hand man of Batu and later succeeded Batu as
his
Khan
brother.
as Khan of the Golden Horde. But this fact shows that Jochi was aware that most of his subjects are going to be Muslims. So he wanted probably a Chingizid, Muslim Chingizid. That's what I think. That's why he wanted Han Sultan to become his queen, and that's why he took the second queen. So that's why the names Blue Horde, because of this, and White Horde. By the way, the nomads used to call Russian Tsar as a White Tsar.
Yes.
That's because of the White Horde.
Ah,
Because Russian Tsar is the successor of the White Horde.
I see.
Because at that time, people were calling the Khanate of Batu as White Horde, and Han sitting in Sarai Birki in Sarai Batu was White Han. Whereas here in Ordabazar Signak was Blue Han. And Shiban's, or Siberian kingdom is, Siberian Horde, as they call, is Grey Han. Grey Horde.
Цагаан, Хухаан, Сарлхан.
Yes, that's why these names come out. The question: why Genghis Khan favored Batu?
Yes. Why?
Main queen was from Hongirat, also, but Batu's mother, who is the second wife, she is Ukiujin, daughter of Archinoyon, who is a brother of Burteuchin.
Ah, I see.
And Batu, when he was born, he grew actually in the house of Burte.
First, I see.
That's why, and it seems that Burte was having more say in the fate of Jochi than the father. And Burte was always defensive in case of Jochi. It seems like that she was feeling that Jochi was all the time haunted by her captivity,
Yes, yes,
and she had that feeling that she has, I don't know, the depth to
Yes.
defend the Jochi and decide his succession and well-being of his children. It's my theory.
Yeah,
But,
definitely.
and
She would
that's
have a
why
special-
Batu was appointed as successor of Jochi, although he was the second son. But his mother
Oh,
was
that theory I like.
his
Yes.
mother was much more powerful
I see.
than Ordeuchen's mother. But again, having said this, brothers were getting along with each other very well. Ordeuchen, Sheban, Berke, Berkechar, they did go on the conquest of the Western land together with Batu.
So they all recognized him as the Han.
Yes, because it was will of the great grandfather. No one in Mongolian Empire did not dare to go against the will of Genghis Khan.
But Sagada did.
Wow.
His son. Okay.
Yeah, you see, and later on we will see a lot of challenges, for example, to the will of Ugode, to the will of Guyuk,
Yeah.
even coming to the stage of possible civil war, etc. But Genghis Khan was so powerful and so charismatic that no one would dare even even after his death, to go against his will.
That's good.
That's how Golden Horde has been created.
So now Batu becomes the Han, and he consolidates.
Batu was not Han. Han,
Han.
not Han.
Yeah,
Not Kagan.
Yeah, I was going to ask
Han.
about that.
Yes.
Not Kagan, but Han.
Yes. And
Like prince.
if you see the stories around the death of Russian knязь Yaroslav, you will see what's the difference between Han and Kagan. Because you see, 1242 after the Western campaign, Batu comes back to Saraybatu, to the capital city of his newly created state, and calls the Russian prince Yaroslav to his place and says that, okay, you are the oldest of the Russian princes. It's a very tricky moment because Ugute is dead by that time, 1242. New Han has not been elected yet. Okay, Guyuk is striving to become a Han, and actually Mongolian, the whole empire affairs is being looked by Durgan, Queen Durgan. So Batu plays a game. He does not say that you are the ruler of Russia. He says you are the oldest of Russian princes. And then next year he sends Yaroslav to Karakorum because Batu is not Khan. Batu is the ruler of Golden Horde. So appointing ruler of the vassal kingdom is not his prerogative.
Yes.
It's a prerogative of the Khan. But he uses the moment because there is no Khan.
Yes.
And you need someone who would be ruling Russia. He plays small political game. And then when Yaroslav comes to Kharkhorin, he becomes a problem for the new Khan, Guyuk. Because, well, if he accepts Yaroslav, it would be like Batu has the right to appoint the ruler of the vassal kingdom, which is not possible. But in case if he deny Yaroslav, then Batu will have very strong backup with the Russian military force in future possible fight between Guyuk and Batu. That's why Yaroslav was poisoned by Durgan. And that is actually, I think, Plano Carpini has noted that he was poisoned by Durgan. So that's again the game within the empire, and that shows that Batu was still ruler, but not Khan. He was not independent. And after the death of Yaroslav, two of his sons, Alexander and Andrei, Alexander of Niva, they come to Batu and ask for the succession. He sends them to Kharkhorin without appointing anyone. Although it seems that Batu was in favor of Alexander, who happened to be a friend of his son Sartaq. But this time he doesn't want to appoint Alexander because it's going to be a problem in Kharkhorin. Great Han may dislike the idea, etc. So that shows that Batu was still not real full-fledged ruler of Golden Horde. And we can see that there is one question. Why Chinggis Khan appointed Shebang as a grey horde? It seems that Chinggis Khan didn't want blue horde and white horde to border with each other. Because he was the Ortiz was oldest son, and Batu somehow he was appointed as a successor. He didn't want to, these two hordes border each other, so he created two hordes in between, Khanate of Sheban and Khanate of Tuktumur. and they are from different mothers, and they have very little reason to, to be a problem for each other.
So these four are all of different mothers.
Yes, and Berke, who was a Muslim prince, somehow he was not allowed to have his horde in Muslim-dominated area. He was sent to Crimea, eastern Ukrainian steppes, bordering with Bulgaria.
Son of Han Sultan.
So, well, definitely from Muslim mother,
Yeah,
but a different mother who is not known yet. So that's quite interesting
Domestic politics.
domestic politics which existed within the empire. If you see the whole Golden Horde, the most strongest in economic sense was White Horde. Because first of all, you had Volga, Bulgaria, quite populous region, future Kazan city. Here you had Haji Tarkhan, or today's Astrakhan, which is quite large city. And then White Horde also owned Crimea and Italian ports in Crimea. So the whole
But when
trade.
it becomes Golden Horde, now there are all separate, fractured White Horde, Blue Horde, and Grey Horde. When they all together come together and become Golden Horde?
Golden Horde is the name that was given much later in 17th century to this state. And it seems that at that time, Golden Horde was called Batuzulus or Ulugulus. Ulugulus. So that's the whole name. It's a Mongolian tradition that we call the state by the name of the ruler. Batengulus, or Deitzniulus, Birhingulus, and when he dies, it will be called Uzbekingulus.
Average people think that this was one consolidated empire, and then Batang had power over all parts of it. Will Batang overrule the decisions by Shibang?
There is a very little evidence of conflicts between them. Probably everybody was actually accepting, let's say, the rule of Batu, and everybody was following him. But if you see Juchids, we just keep forgetting, because Juchids first they give the lineation to Siberian Khans, okay, and then from Blue Horde you will have also Tukhtumurid. Tukhtumur's descendants would rule Bukhara between 1600 to 1700s. Shiban's descendants would rule Khwarezm in Bukhara between 17 to 1800s. That's so-called Uzbek dynasty of Shaybanids. That's Shiban. And then afterwards, Uzbek dynasty of Ashtarhanids. Ashtarhanid is descendants of Tokhtumur. They came from the Astrakhan Khanate. That's why they were called Ashtarhanids. So you will see also the descendants of Ortaizing becoming the founders of Kazakh Khans.
Ortaizing become.
Yeah, founders of the Kazakh Khans, and then you will see a lot of dukes and grand dukes of the Russian Empire came from the White Horde in Siberia. For example, the descendants of Shiban, they are known in Russia by the name of Duke Sibirsky.
If we now discuss how the Kievan Rus becomes a part or a vassal of the Golden Horde, I think it's got to be a whole new story about Batan's, military campaigns. So maybe we will not this time go into that part of the story. But going back now to Jochi, Then perhaps he died in somewhere around 1225. And I still want to know the reason why he died. Because of disease, or he was assisted, or why?
Well, there is a legend about the lame wild horse. That's very common among the Kazakh people, that he was doing the wild horse hunting, and during the hunt he killed one of the younger horses, and then lame wild horse came out, and Jochi, and his left hand was cut off, and that's how he died. Again, it's a legend in the mountains of Ulitau. So today we have a building called the Mausoleum of Jochi. A lot of people say that why we don't go and pay homage, because it's the only existing
son.
Yeah, only existing Muslim. We don't have Muslim of Ugude or Tsagatai or Tulu, and etc. But it's a little bit of questionable thing. First of all, as you can see, it's a Muslim architecture.
Yes, yes.
And
it's like a mosque.
Yeah, it's like a mosque. And we know very well that Jochi was not Muslim. He had Muslim sons,
but he himself was
he
not
himself Muslim. Was not Muslim. That's number one question. Number two, there were two remains found in this mausoleum, and one remain really had one hand cut. And also there was some damage in the head, forehead, etc. And
who could possibly be the Chang?
Very questionable. They made radioactive analysis of the materials here, and for example, the wood that has been used, the radioactive analysis say that the wood was used around year 1360. So it's almost 120, 30 years after his death. Most probably this is burial of one of the Jochites, but somehow called as a Mausoleum of Jochi. So we don't know exactly.
Where is this museum?
In Kazakhstan. And near the mountains of Ulitau. We don't know exactly how he died. There are differing...
The legend says that.
The legend says that, and also there is a different suggestion by the scholars that he might have been poisoned by Genghis Khan himself because of the quarrels, which I don't believe at all. There are even suggestions that Chagatai was part of this scheme, which I also don't believe. Of course, they had an easy relationship with Chagatai, and Secret History of Mongols also shows that uneasy relationship, but I don't think that it went to that extent that he would go and participate in the assassination plot of his brother. Since we don't have his remains, we cannot say how he died. Was it disease? Was it, I don't know, some violent assassination, etc.? Most probably, many of Mongols of that period died young.
Yes.
And most probably it was a result of heavy diet that Mongols used to have in a hot climate, and also sudden influx of strong alcohol that came into the Mongol Empire around that time. We see from the initial period of conquest that Mongols still drink only arak or kumis as weak alcohol, and maybe Mongol shimir is stronger alcohol. But starting from that period, we get information about bordars, that is cognac, wine, and we know that Ogude himself, he stated among his main mistakes that he was he got used to the bordars, meaning strong alcohol. So this problem It might be also.
So it could be health consideration. I mean, health reasons.
Yeah, I believe so.
And hot weather and the different ecological conditions. Yes.
That's the story of Jochi, and I believe it's not limited to Kazakhstan. The Uzbek dynasty of Shaybanids, Ashtarganids.
Yeah, now about his legacies.
Yeah, that's the Jochi's descendants. So you cannot say that Jochi is Kazakh.
Yes, yes, yes.
With the same success, you can say he is Uzbek or he is Karakalpak, because you will find Jochits among them. You can say also he is Bashkir then, because you will see Jochits among the Bashkirs. Historians in Kazakhstan, they do not say these kind of things. It's just a question of the journalists who are looking for sensation. So that's why they create. I receive a lot of questions from my viewers that, in Kazakhstan there is a narrative about that and why we do not explain that. For professional historian to go into this kind of debate is stupid.
Yeah, it's senseless.
I cannot say that, for example, Richard the Lionheart was an Australian, right? Because when he died, Australia was not there. So when Jochi died, Kazakhstan was not there, Uzbekistan was not there. These countries will be created 4 centuries later.
By his sons and sons and sons.
Descendants,
Descendants,
yes.
yes.
Yeah. And probably by that time, these people, his descendants, were Turkicized, probably did not speak Mongolian. They were all became Muslims, etc. But they are of Jochi descendancy. In Kazakhstan only, I have read that there are 20,000 Torres. So his descendant, actually rule of Kazakh Torres or Jochids came to non-existence during the Russian Empire. When the Russian Empire occupied Kazakhstan, they started downplaying Chingizid's role and created let's say, new ruling class or new intelligentsia. Whereas in Uzbekistan, it was actually replaced by, for example, in Bukhara, by Mongols, which is again a tribe of Mongol origin. In Kokand, it was by Hongirats, etc. Later on, when Chingizids became nominal Hans, for centuries they were playing with this game that strong
yes.
emir. For example, the story of Tamerlane. He never declared himself as Khan. People don't know that during the Tamerlane's time, the actual nominal ruler of his state was Khan Suyurgatmish. He was Chingizid, but he never really had real power. Real power was with Timur. Title was Emir and Kurgan, or son-in-law. But it's fascinating that this tradition of Chingizid ascension, right after Chingizid's ascent to the throne, remained in this part of the world, I don't know, from 1300 to right up to 19th century, 600 years. That's
lasting
legacy.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for this, sad story, but I would still say noble story about the eldest son of Chinggis Khan. But there is still, again, one question. Many people say that because his name was Jochi, guest. Chinggis Khan himself believed that he came as a Zoching. Zoching is always an alien, always an outsider.
I think a dictionary of Chagatai language, which was compiled around 1450, where the Jochi, word Jochi, they explain as, first of all, sudden guest, And second is beloved son. And to those who say this argument, I always say, okay, do you know name of the younger brother of Genghis Khan? Everybody think that his name was Hasar, but his name was Jochi Hasar. And no one says that he is not son of Yusuf Bator because his name is Jochi. And Abul Ghazi, in his book, he writes that when Jochi was born, Genghis Khan declared to his people that we have a sudden guest. And that's why...
My beloved son, sudden guest arrived.
Yeah, that's why his name is called Jochi. For example, in Muslim sources, they call him Tushi, Toshi. It's a Turkic word for a waiting, meeting in advance, etc. So there might be also that kind of explanation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Thomber. I think here we conclude our today's talk about Zuchang. Again, I fully agree with your conclusion, which are supported by the facts that you found in the literature and historiography, that he was beloved son of our great Han, that he was a weighted son with great deep-lying legacies, which lasted for at least 5 to 6 centuries. Thank you very much, and we will see you on our next podcast. Thank you.